Good evening, everybody. We have agenda, public notice, regular city council meeting, regular call city council meeting, Monday, February 10th, Jasper City Hall, 465 South Main Street. It is now 6 p.m. Meeting will be called to order. Councilman Hildebrand, will you offer prayer, please?
Be glad to. Father God, Lord Jesus, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to convene and meet, discuss business for the people of the city of Jasper. I pray, Father, that you just fill our hearts and minds with the wisdom and the knowledge we need, the information we need. I pray that you guide us with your Holy Spirit through this meeting and forgive us where we fail you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Information for council members, SRMPA and SETRPC. SRMPA, there was no meeting last month because there was no items for the agenda. SETRPC, there was no meeting last month. They had installation of officers. Departmental reports, ask the council members to refer to departmental reports that was left by the city secretary.
Mayor, could I have a moment during department reports?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Back several months ago, like September, October, the General Land Office come out with a bunch of money that they had left over from about 5 or 6 different grants, and they made a fool of it. Y'all remember that? And
Yeah.
when we asked y'all to approve for us putting in applications for it, and we put in, you could put up the 3 applications in for it, for the money, and we talked about it, so we put in all 3 of them, and hoping to get 1. But we were one of the few cities that got all 3.
Good.
Good news, we got the first one.
Great.
First one was for $2,275,000, that's water and wastewater infrastructure projects.
Very good.
Then we put in for another one for some more water and stuff, it's a $1.575 million. And then for the PDs upgrading their communication system, it's $840,000. Because the planning commission's putting in a digital radio system that's covering all the planning commission. And where the PD and fire department, everybody can talk on the same radios and be able to communicate over all party states with the planning commission. And this new radio system is very expensive, and that will save us a lot of money working on some of that. But Susan wanted to explain a few more things on it.
Real quickly,
Thank you.
you know,
Thank
as
you.
always, I'm very proud to be able to work with the city and represent y'all in this capacity. It's because of the work that y'all have done as a city on your existing grants. They're selected well, they perform, they finish on time, and they finish on budget. Because you all took the time to attend the fair housing workshop, the training, and as a council, you had a fair housing workshop. Those are all criteria that go into this. And we have no way of knowing how many applications went in statewide, but out of the 56 that got funded, to get 3 of them is really outstanding. And I want to commend the city staff, Greg and Bob and his departments for making these selections of these projects, carefully considering where they're located and how they can best help the city. As we talked about when we asked for permission to apply, there's a 10% match associated with that. They carefully selected projects that their current budgets for water, sewer, and communications can cover the 10% match. So we're not coming to the city to look for elsewhere for that money to cover those matches for those projects. So what's happening now over the next 2 months is we'll complete the actual application. They pre-scored so that only the communities that are on the list to receive the money have to fill out the full application. So I'll probably be back next month for some council action associated with the actual applications. But at this point, we do know we complete the application, we get everything turned in, that we will be funded for these 3 projects. So I am more than happy to answer any other questions you all may have, but I really appreciate the time to let you guys know about this, because it's really important.
Thank you very much. Any questions, council? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Susan.
you.
Next, we'll have public comments. I ask you to please understand that council cannot discuss any presented issues, nor can it take any action on any issues at this time, except that a statement of fact, including policy, may be made representative on an issue. Attorney General's opinion, JC 0169. Brother Norsworthy. Mr. Rodney Norsworthy. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. I'll probably give you 1.5 back. To the mayor and to the council and to all of you that are here. First of all, I want to thank you for your support in electing me to the Jasper Hospital District. I am vice president of that board. We're doing great things here in the city of Jasper in way of bringing better health care. We have doctors and people wanting to come here on a daily basis. Our airport has been enlarged to land Learjets. I don't know if you know this or not, one of the wealthiest men in the state of Texas flying here, I know you do often with his Learjet, the owner of Buckets. He's here quite frequently. Now, I do have a concern, and that concern is that of Jetco. It has not been operating for 4 months. Did Eddie do everything right? No. Did Eddie do everything wrong? No. But Eddie did do some good. And let's stop pointing fingers. If you're not part of the problem, you should be part of the solution. We need Jetco back up and running. And not only that, all of you are accountable. The board of Jetco is accountable for what has happened. Somebody should have stepped in, and then too, in my personal opinion, I think whoever replaced Eddie needs to be accountable to Greg Kelly or to somebody and come before this council on a monthly basis, address and inform about what's going on with the finances. This would help us keep out of a situation like this. We all make mistakes. Why do you think they put erasers on pencils? None of us are perfect. Let's put this thing behind us. Elect a new board, and let's move forward. You don't need a legal opinion to do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you, Reverend Norsworthy. Okay, moving on. Items for discussion and/or action. Item number 1, consider for approval 1 set of minutes, regular call city council meeting January 13th, 2024. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
I have a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Barber. I'm sorry, Councilman Holmes. In discussion on this matter. Everything was okay with the minutes? Okay, can we get a vote, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Item number 2, consider for approval, city audit report for fiscal year ending September 31, 2024. Greg?
Mayor, council, we have Greg Peterson from Weaver come up and go over the audit report, since he works for you.
Thank you. Greg, thank you. Peterson?
My pleasure. Yes, my name is Greg Peterson. I'm an audit partner with Weaver, and it is my pleasure to present the results of our audit for you tonight. What I would like to do, I'd ask you to turn to page 82. We're going to flip to the back where we're going to look at the summary of our audit results. So before I talk about the results, I do want to make just a quick comment. As Mr. Kelly said, we are an independent audit firm, and we do work for city council. The purpose of our audit is to provide reliability on the information that's presented in this report. So our audit is designed to identify if there's material misstatements in the numbers and in the wording of our footnotes, so that you as council can make informed decisions using this information. I do want to point out that any financial statement audit is not designed to detect any fraud. That's outside the scope of any financial statement audit, whether that's for a city, a publicly traded company. The independent auditors are, their audits are not designed to detect fraud. Just wanted to make that distinction clear, because I know there might be some misconceptions on, what the public perceives an audit to be. There's a lot of different types of audits. The audit that we perform is to provide you with, reliability of these numbers. That's what our audit is, the purpose of that audit. So when we conduct our audit, we look at the city's financials, the numbers, but we also evaluate y'all's internal controls. So the internal controls are essentially the foundation of the city's operations that these numbers are reliant upon and them being correct. So we evaluate internal controls over what we consider to be, as auditors, using our professional skepticism, the most important controls in the city. Expenses are obviously the largest portion of y'all's operations. So we go through, we evaluate your control processes over those cash disbursements. Revenues are a large portion, so we evaluate your controls over your cash receipts. We look at payroll, we look at your processes over payroll. So we identify what we consider to be these key transactions. We test your internal controls. Part of that process is, we then issue an opinion on our audit. So the opinion that we're gonna be rendering is an unmodified opinion. So that's also known as a clean opinion. So that's the highest level of assurance that you can get in an audit, is an unmodified opinion. When we evaluated your internal controls, we did not identify any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in your internal controls. We also test for compliance with procurement laws and certain contracts. We did not identify any non-compliance in any of those that we reviewed. In addition to conducting the audit over the financial statements, we also are required to perform what's known as a single audit. Because the city expends federal dollars, we follow the OMB uniform guidance, which says if an organization spends over $750,000 in federal awards, they have to have a single audit. So the program that we tested was your CDBG block grant. It was about $7.6 million, represented 99.9% of all of your federal expenditures were in that one program. Again, we evaluate compliance with the federal requirements. We evaluate internal controls over those programs. We did not identify any non-compliance. We did not identify any control deficiencies over this program. And we'll be rendering an unmodified opinion on the single audit as well. So again, another clean opinion, highest level of assurance that you can receive. I'll point out number 9 on this schedule here. So this is saying that the city qualifies as a low-risk auditee. The reason I point that out is because what that means is the city has continuously shown that it operates without having modified opinions, without significant deficiencies in internal controls or material weaknesses. If you have those types of findings in your audit, then you become a high-risk auditee. But the city has received continuous clean audits, therefore they're considered a low-risk auditee. So let's cover kind of the results of the audit if we were just to look at a 30,000-foot level. We'll talk about some of the numbers, and if I can get y'all to turn to page 22. So page 22, we'll look at the general fund. So this is the balance sheet of the city's governmental funds. We'll focus on the general fund. So that's the primary operating fund of the city. So general fund had total assets of $11.7 million. You can see 9.1 of that 11.7 is sitting in cash and cash equivalents. Your total liabilities are $1.7 million. We have some deferred inflows of $234,000 and fund balance of $9.7 million. So you can see that the city obviously has plenty of cash to cover current liabilities. Fund balance of $9.7 million is essentially what is left over when we subtract, take your assets, less all your liabilities. What you're left over with is basically the equity in your general fund. You can see in that section that the general fund is broken out into multiple categories. We have amounts for non-spendable uses of that fund balance, restricted for specific purposes. We have what's assigned for other purposes, and then we have what's unassigned. The unassigned portion to me is probably the most important because it represents basically unencumbered funds that's available for next year's operations. We like to do an analysis to see, how many days of operations you have sitting there in that unassigned fund balance. So the city has 107 days of operating expenses sitting in the general fund, which is a healthy fund balance. If you can get anything over 60 days, you're sitting pretty good. But to be at 107 days is really a good position to be in your general fund. Next, if we can turn to page 24. Again, we'll look at the general fund. So what we're looking at here is the income statement. The general fund has total revenues of $15.5 million. That is approximately about a $5 million increase over the prior year. And all of that increase is in that intergovernmental line item that you can see there at $7.3 million. That is that CDBG grant I was just talking about. So that's where that money is. That's why we saw that increase, because there was an increase in that grant activity. It goes right for the same reason for the increase in expenditures. Total expenditures were $19.5 million, about an $8 million increase over prior year. Again, all of that is directly related to that grant. Grants, the whole purpose of grants and how they get reported is they essentially offset. You get revenues and expenses, they offset each other, and that's what you see here in revenues and expenditures in the general fund. Other financing sources, you see a transfer in of $3.3 million. That is a transfer in from the utility fund to cover some planned projects that were accounted for in the general fund. So that's just to fund those projects. Ultimately, the expenditures and other financing sources did come in less than revenues. That's why we see a negative change in fund balance of about $500,000. So it took your fund balance from 10.2 million down to 9.7. So a slight decrease in fund balance. However, as I just mentioned, part of that fund balance is still that unassigned fund balance. So you still have 107 days of operation sitting in that $9.7 million balance. Next, we'll turn to page 26. So page 26 is the balance sheet for your utility fund. Again, you can see total assets in the middle of the page, $73.7 million in total assets. Kind of split equally between current and non-current assets. $40.6 million in current assets. 37.3 million of that is in cash and cash equivalents. Total liabilities of 4.1 million. The current portion of that is $2 million. So again, utility fund has plenty of cash to cover any requirements of current liabilities. Net position, essentially the equity left in that account or this fund is $70 million. As you can take a peek over to page 27, that's the income statement side of the utility fund. You can see total revenues of $11.4 million. That is a $13.1 million decrease from the prior year. The reason for that decrease is 7 million of that, just right off the top, is Cambridge disbursements that didn't happen in 2024 that were in 2023. The remainder of that difference comes from decrease in the utility rates. That pretty much makes up the remaining difference in that, the 13.1 versus the 7. Operating expenses are $16 million. That's down about 1.2 million from the prior year. that decrease is all sitting in that power production number. And really, a lot of that is just less purchases of power supply. Looking down at the bottom quarter of that statement, you can see that transfers out number of $6.2 million. We just talked about, what was it, 3.4 million going to the general fund for some capital projects. The remaining difference went to the general fund for capital projects. The remaining piece went to the capital projects fund for projects. So that accounts for the transfers out. We had a net change, a net decrease in that utility fund of $8.3 million, taking that position from 78 million down to 7 million. Again, the biggest factor for that decrease was that $7 million that we didn't get in the Cambridge project, but there was a distribution made subsequent in November of 24 that's not reflected in these financial statements. It's included as a footnote, as a subsequent event, that there was a distribution made of $7 million, but it's not reflected in these numbers. So that really kind of concludes the talking points I had for the audit, but happy to answer any questions that y'all have.
Council, you have any questions?
I'm good.
Good. Thank you very much, Rick.
Absolutely. My pleasure. I just have, just
Anything else?
one last thing. Included in the back of your reports, there's a letter to governance. So as part of our auditing standards, we're required to make certain communications to governance. I just want to point out a few things that we did remain independent throughout our entire engagement. Management did not have to seek a second opinion on any conclusions that were reached. The city did not enter into any transactions for which there's not any type of authoritative guidance that covers those. There were no changes in accounting policies. There were no adoptions of new accounting standards that had any type of material effect on these financial statements. The most accounting estimates or significant estimates within this report are with the pension and healthcare retirement plans. And that we did not have any disagreements with management, and management provided us with what we refer to as a representation letter, saying that all the information that we've asked for has been provided. They didn't, give us any contradictory information. They're not hiding anything from us. They were, open to all communication, gave us access to anything we asked for. So, again, it was really the results that you want to see as a council is to have unmodified opinions, and no findings in your internal controls. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda. Consider for approval.
We need to vote.
Oh, we got to vote on it. To approve the, okay, can we get a motion to approve?
I approve.
Got a motion from Councilman Sample, second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hildebrand. Any further discussion on this matter? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, none opposed. Motion passes unanimously. All right, next item. Consider for approval. Circuit switches and transmission switches replacement for Jason substation. Right?
Mayor and council, Lee's gonna come for a minute and explain some of it to you, and Jerry, our engineers here also. But back, December, the first week of December, when we had the power outage, that was for them to go up and be able to look at this and check it out and see what we need to do next. And these switches are 53 days out if they're ordered, 53 weeks out if we order them right now. But I'm gonna let Lee and Jerry come up and speak on what they are and what they do and all those good things.
There.
I'll just let Jerry do it. Anybody knows about that up there?
Can let us know who you are, please.
Jared Taylor, I am with Delta Consulting. We're the engineers that work for you guys in the electrical system. And we've been working for you guys since the 70s. So we appreciate the working relationship that we have with the city. So thank you for that. As far as the equipment, Mr. Kelly, he mentioned that in December we had taken an outage, and we had a manufacturer's representative there to try to make some repairs on one of these switches. If you're not aware, the way the substation is designed and set up, the transmission comes in and then it feeds through these switches to 2 transformers that the city has. And that powers about 70% of the city's electrical system. So one of those switches, it malfunctioned, and we haven't been able to close it in to be able to run the power. The reason that we have 2 transformers in there is you can have it where you have a backup. And you don't just run off of one. So right now, with the main substation that you guys have, we don't have a backup. And that's why this has been a focus, and we're trying everything that we can do to get this fixed. The manufacturer, this is the second time that the manufacturer had come to look at it, and they attempted to work on it, to repair it. They came back and said that they were not gonna be able to fix it, and they offered a solution to fix it, which was over $65,000 just for a repair. And then we looked at the age of the equipment, and these are almost 20 years old. And we said, you know, the way everything is set up, we really need a better solution. So we asked for quotations to try to look at a better setup that would be easier to maintain in the future and last longer. And that's why we're asking for approval to be able to go out for bids and get quotations to get this equipment in. Mr. Kelly had mentioned about the switches. The switches are part of it, and then there are circuit switchers also. I have a diagram here, and what you can see, there's a red portion that I have circled here, and this is what the new equipment that would be put in. There's a slight difference as far as what is existing on the old equipment. The old equipment, the way it's designed and set up, it won't last as long. So we want to put in something that would last longer and be easier and better to maintain for you guys. We also want to make a couple of improvements with additional switches that would allow for us to be able to switch everything around for the city without having to wait on Entergy to do their switching. You know, whenever we call and we have to take an outage, Entergy has their switching protocols that they have to work through. So it takes anywhere from an hour to 2 hours that we're just sitting waiting on Entergy to cut the power off. And the reverse is the same. We have to wait an hour or 2 after we've done all of our work, and we say, okay, we're ready for the power to come back on. Well, it takes an extra hour or 2. So what we want to do is we want to put in additional switches so that we can control the outages ourselves and cut at least 2 or 3 hours off of that time. And
would Entergy still have to be involved?
on most cases, no, sir. So what we would do is, and I just did this in December for one of the other cities, we call in and say to Entergy, we're dropping load. And we actually control the switching and we cut everything off ourselves. And then we call them back and say, okay, we're gonna turn the load back on. And it usually takes about 5 minutes for them to look at the system and approve it at that point. So it does shorten the time by a great amount. The main thing that we're worried about is the equipment that's there and the lead time. Some of the switches that Mr. Kelly mentioned, they're 40 to 50 weeks out, but the circuit switchers, they gave us a lead time of up to 78 weeks. So we're talking about a year and a half just to be able to get this equipment in, and that's why we would like to try to get this process done as soon as possible for you guys. As far as the circuit switchers, there are really only 2 manufacturers in this nation or in the world that make this specific type that we need. So it's a pretty simple process as far as getting the bids and getting the approval on that part for you guys. At this point, we just are presenting this to you because this is a great need for the electric system.
Once you get the approval for the RFQs, you'll be able to get those right out?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions, council?
I have a question for Mr. Kelly. During the budget, we talked about money that was set aside, for these substations. I believe a previous council set aside $4 million. Can you tell me where this is gonna come from? Is it with the 29 million or is this separate?
It's separate, and it will come out of that fund or the SNRMPA funds, wherever y'all want to take it from. When we bring it back to you, hopefully we bring it back to you next month. But the substation money is included in that 29.
Okay.
And as far as the Texas bid law, we can consider this an emergency item because we're replacing existing equipment. So we don't have to worry about the advertising amount. We can go directly for bids, and especially with the limit of the manufacturers that we can actually go to for bids, we're gonna get the quotations and we can bring that directly to the city.
Any other questions? Gary?
So we're talking about when we fix it, the fire outages. That's what we'll call it, something I like to read with them about that.
Okay, the replacement, it will take at least 3 outages. That's with us working in conjunction with Entergy, because the way these are connected, they're directly connected to the transmission system. And the only way that we can turn it off to be able to make these connections, we have to turn everything off to be able to make the connections. These are the connections on the high side of the substation.
Is everything on, would this be entire city that'll be affected by, is this with just adjacent, not the?
Yeah. This is the entire city,
Entire city.
because when the transmission comes in, it comes in at the top of the substation, bays for the 138 transmission. And the way that all runs through, we're on a radio feed from Entergy. So it comes from the High Truett Road and feeds down south. We don't have a backup transmission line. It's not part of the loop like other cities are. So in the case of Jasper, we have to cut off the power completely in order to make these connections. And what we would do, we would try to time it to coincide to be able to replace one and then come back with another outage and replace the second one. And then there's a third switch we would need for a third outage to be able to reconnect. And once we do that, then we would have everything complete. But it would take 3 separate shorter outages in that way.
How much time between outages would you expect that to occur?
I would expect at least a week between each.
Anything else?
But you could do this before summer, before it would, I'm just asking. I mean, that's a pretty good question, right? You could do this before summertime if we're gonna have an outage, 3 separate outages.
The city has complete control over the schedule, so you guys, Mr. Kelly or whomever, the city council, the city would decide on the schedule as far as when you would like to have the outage. But you never like to have an outage, right? But when you want to choose to have the outage, so you wouldn't do it in the middle of the summer, of course.
That
You
would be
wouldn't do it
depending
in
on
the
when we
dead of
get
winter.
We're gonna get the equipment in.
we gotta get the equipment in first, so.
Yeah.
And that's gonna take, we don't know how long.
Year and a half.
Well,
Yeah, year and a half.
yeah, if we're talking about a year and a half, then we might get the equipment in the summertime, but we wouldn't be able to install it right then. We would probably wait until the fall in order to be able to install it.
I say we consult with Greg Boswick.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Greg, you have anything else to add, Lee? Thanks, Jared.
Thank you.
So what you're asking for is go out to a request for quotes, RFQs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve for, who is it? Is it your company, Jared, or who's going? Delta Consulting?
Yes, sir, we'll assist the city with, going out for quotations.
Okay. That's the, council, can I get a motion to approve
I'll make a
Delta,
motion.
Delta Consulting? Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
You made the motion, you second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this matter? All in favor? Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda, number 4. Consider for approval, award material contract for Sandy Creek Drainage Relief Project, 2016 Community Development Block Grant. Drainage GLO contract number 19-076-047-B700, right?
Mayor and council, this is the $2 million grant we got, we worked over here on the other side of 96. There was roughly $174,000 left after we got through with that. We had till April to finish anything we did, so we decided to bid out some more rock and more riprap, and so we bid that out, opened the bids Thursday morning. We're trying to beat the deadline, and roughly we're asking to go ahead and spend the rest of that with Texas Materials. It's roughly $131,000 worth of riprap, and the other $42,000 we need for hydromulch and the matting that goes down and stuff like that. We're just asking to go ahead and accept the bid from Texas Materials.
Okay. Council, so you want to consider for approval, can I get a motion to approve?
Approve.
We have a motion from Councilman Sample, second from Councilman Holmes. Any further discussion on this matter?
If I could just say, this is the only bid you received, right?
We got, the bid laws is pretty strict, and there was another company bid, and then we opened them at 10 o'clock, and they had to be here by 10, and FedEx delivered theirs at 10:04. So we had to go back to the general line office, Susan got with them and made sure it was okay to go with one bid. And we got permission and got a letter today saying we could do it.
This is money, this is not the money that we had left over from the retention pond thing, right?
Yeah, that's what we used on the creek over here, and this will be our crews just extending the rock further.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That's it. What we have to prove up, Ms. McCroskey, is that, there was fair and open competition. We had over 30 people download the plans for review, and, like Greg said, if it weren't for FedEx being late on their delivery, we would have had 2 bids. But we did have the engineers take another step and, look at the prices and make sure for the market prices that these numbers were fair and reasonable, and they are very much within line. But like I said, there's a long list of things we had to go through with the general land office for them to approve it, and they did, and that, we have that on file as well.
That letter is in here from about the engineers.
Thank you.
Can we get a motion to approve the award the material contract for the Sandy Creek Drainage Project?
There's already.
There again.
Motion.
And a second.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, motion passed unanimously. Number 5, consider for approval, annual police department racial profile.
How y'all doing, Steve? What this is annually, TICO requires us to conduct a racial profiling report. We send it to Dr. Del Carmen, who basically is our auditor. And what you have before you is all, pretty much every stop, every search, everything we've done, and see if we're compliant. We didn't have any, not one complaint over racial profile stop within a year. And he basically goes over all our numbers, make sure that everything we submitted is legit. There's several things in there, if y'all will look over, if you have any questions, or I can answer them.
Can we get a motion to approve the annual police racial profiling report? We have a motion by Councilman Sample, second by Councilman Hildebrand. Any further discussion on this matter? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, motion passes unanimously. Next, Chief Foster, consider for approval resolution authorizing Chief Foster as authorized official for grant number 4963101. Chief?
What this was when Gerald was here, the previous chief, he'd already put in for a grant, it's for 2 ballistic shields. the police department wants for SWAT, one for patrol. We've already got them in, but since I'm not the authorized official on the grant, they would not release funds until I give them a new resolution. So that's all this is me redoing the verbiage and put my name in it, so I can send it so we can get a check, send, and get reimbursed for those 2 shields.
Okay. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve?
I approve.
Motion approved by Councilman Sample, second by Councilman Holmes. All in favor, say aye. No opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Next, item 7, Chief Foster. Consider for approval resolution authorizing Chief Foster as the grantee authorized official for the virtual reality and CPA project.
This is
Grant
bas-
number 5353601.
It's basically the same thing as resolution. I'm applying for, we don't have the, room or anything else like you've seen on TV where they have the simulations and everything else for officers to train. So I'm gonna try to dumb it down to the virtual reality set and try to apply for a grant for that. And if I ever get my system, police academy off the ground, I think that'd be a great thing to the no shoot type situations. So that's what I'm trying to do, is just apply for a grant for that.
All right, can I get a motion to approve?
I approve.
Motion approved by Councilman Sample, second. Second by Councilman Hildebrand. Any further discussion on this matter? All in favor? No opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Item number 8, consider for approval to reallocate funds, meetings, conventions, and schedules for the mayor to travel for the mayor to attend Southeast Texas Legislative Days in Austin, February 17th, 18th, 2025, and to continue to attend SRMPA meetings and SETRPC meetings. This item on, let me speak on this item, it is to transfer the money which has already been allocated and has already been approved in the budget. It's just moving money from one line item to the next. It is no extra money, no further, no additional funds will be required for this. Can I get a motion to approve?
I believe I'll just table it.
Second.
We have a motion to table and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion doesn't pass. Motion's taken. Motion's taken.
What was the vote? I got 2, did everyone?
I just heard 2 people say, I heard Mr. Crosby and Mr. Sample.
So did 2 abstain?
No, I voted for the table.
You
Y'all
want to
voted
table?
to table?
The table.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So I will just say, voting to the table this item, it will not pass, so since the event is this month, we won't be able to bring this up again, so there's no real reason in the sense of tabling this item.
Just,
So we just either close it or not, because it's not gonna be able to be brought back up again. So I would like to ask if you would like to make a motion to approve or not approve, because tabling this item won't be brought back up again.
we did vote.
But you voted to table.
That's why I said, okay, I make a move, we postpone it. That means kills it.
Oh, okay, all right.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 9, consider for approval variance request for 1029 Avenue A.
Jeremy's on vacation. This basically, they was adding a carport on the front of this house. The house itself was already just 5 foot off the property line, so adding a carport by rules, we have to bring it back to y'all just to approve this. So the staff recommends to approve it.
Can we get a motion to approve the variance request for 1029 Avenue A?
I make a motion to
We have a
approve.
motion to approve, second.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion on this matter? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item number 10. Thank you. Item number 10, consider for approval recommendation from the staff to approve professional home demolition service for CDBG file JASC 1-005.
This is for the buyout program that we've been working on for about 3 years with GrantWorks. This was the Kinnear property there on Houston and Manual. We had 1 bidder. We got approval through JLO for 1 bidder. Last time on the last house we did, which was on Verna, we only had 2 bidders. So we got approval for that also. This is a contractor approved by the GLO and everybody, so they have to do approval on that. So we're just asking y'all to approve this where we can get that, structure abated. And that property was turned over to, it's already city property now, and it'll be green space now.
Can we get a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Have a motion to approve, can we get a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion on this matter? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 11, council discussion time. Is there anything council that wants to discuss?
Before you move on number 8, are we postponing or are we tabling? Because we didn't vote on a postpone. We only voted on a table.
Well, I'd like to get an opinion on this, because you said if you postpone it, that just kills it. But,
It does.
but I'm saying, if you want to table it, so you don't, you're changing his to postpone. I understand what you're saying, but you're
No,
changing.
you said that we couldn't take it, so I made a motion to postpone it.
No, but I'm saying, like, even if you postpone it and table it, I mean, if that just kills the whole thing, then it just won't happen at all, correct? Because what I'm saying is the item is for this month. Okay,
So, but basically, it's as though we're not taking any action on it, and so it fails for lack of
for
action.
lack of action.
There's nothing else, it
Okay.
fails for lack of action.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that explanation. So, do we need to vote on that?
For the,
City Secretary, you saying we need to vote on that? To postpone
would you feel
Did we-
better
did
if
we
we
not
voted
vote on
on
that?
postponement?
I would.
it? Okay.
Aye.
So can we get a vote? Any, all in favor say aye? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
Yeah.
He said aye twice. Councilman, you were just for the first one, right, Councilman Sam?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good. All right. Motion passes to table. Postpone. All right, council discussion time.
I wanna mention something about SRMPA, and this is a follow-up to some comments I shared 3 or 4 or 5 months ago when I mentioned that SRMPA had undertaken some effort and an exercise and a study, shopping the market for a wholesaler of power, hoping we could find an even better rate than what we got now. And that exercise and that study and analysis is still being undertaken. But between some of our own meetings and some of my own work, here's the disturbing thing. Almost every wholesale provider is being acquired, bought by, traded for, owned by investment banks, investment, trust funds, investment wealth building funds or groups or entities. And when you hear the word investment, you know what it means. People are looking for a rate of return on their own investment, and those rates are high. So sometime in the future, power rates, not just in Jasper, not just Texas, the whole world, power rates are gonna be high. So we've kinda started thinking way outside the box. Solar's not an option, not for Jasper, I can tell you that. But, coal and nuclear. So that's probably gonna be our best bet somewhere down the road. That's just me and my crystal ball. But I did wanna share that with you.
Anyone else have anything? Can I get them?
Yeah, how are we on the, you talked to me about the attorney the other day?
Yes, Councilman Sample, I spoke with an attorney by the name of Cody Falk, located out of Austin, Texas. He actually has had previous dealings with the Sam Rayburn Municipal Power Authority, so he referred me to another attorney by the name of Frank Garza, who's a kind of a renowned, he's Cody's mentor, for lack of better words. He is a municipal law expert and deals with economic development boards quite often. I don't believe it would take long to get an opinion from him. I should be speaking with him tomorrow. He's expecting my call.
Then we need to set up a Zoom with him, or we need to have a meeting with him before we say yes or no, or
I'll visit with him just to see if he's interested in taking us on as a client.
yes.
And then, if he is, what I'll do is I'll refer him to one of the council members to, refer his phone number to one of the council members so that y'all can visit with him to see if he
Okay.
is somebody that y'all feel comfortable with hiring.
This is in regard to,
This,
what
this,
is this in regard to?
Jadco,
Okay, good,
this is
good.
in regard to Jedco.
Good. Yeah, and to Mr. Sample's question, that is a must. A Zoom meeting or phone, telephone conference call, you gotta have that meeting to create a general consensus. Can't do it by email.
yeah,
Cannot do
we have a meeting that we can all
Yes.
sit and talk,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, I agree. I've suggested that we have an executive meeting where they zoom in.
Yeah.
Of course, I'd be there to help mediate everything.
Sure.
And we get everything nailed down at once. And, I mean, we've been, looking pretty hard for an attorney. I think that we're getting pretty close to a resolution on finding one.
There, also, they would be answered to the city council. The mayor would be answering to the city council. We would talk back and forth, city council, not the mayor.
We would have an executive session where, I would help to mediate, to nail down and determine a scope of work
Thank you,
for that attorney.
thank you. Very good answer, thank you.
Any more questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Council, you have any other discussion items?
Not I.
What you do? Just adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second? Second? Adjourn.